They told me love would heal me. They told me love would lift me. They told me love would complete me. But they never warned me about the love that destroys from within. The love that blinds you, suffocates you, and leaves you shattered on the floor. The most dangerous kind of love. Love. It arrives quietly, almost imperceptibly, like fog rolling over a city in the dead of night. For some it whispers comfort, for others it screams chaos. For Ava it began the day she met him. Michael, handsome, confident, magnetic, the kind of man who walks into a room and makes it stop breathing. He smiled once lightly, almost accidentally, and in that moment, Ava forgot how to breathe. She didn't know it yet, but love had already taken root, and the kind of love she felt for him, passionate, unrelenting, consuming, was not the kind that heals. It was the kind that burns. They met at a gallery opening. Ava had always loved art, the escape it provided from a life that often felt dull and safe. Michael was there for the same reason, but with a different purpose, to be seen, to charm, to conquer. From the first conversation she was drawn to him. His words, effortless and intoxicating, made the world fade. For weeks they texted, they talked, they met in secret cafes under the pretense of coincidence. Ava told herself it was harmless. It was connection, it was chemistry. But love like this, dangerous love, does not wait for permission. It does not knock politely. It invades, consumes, and redefines everything you thought you knew. Soon, Ava's days were structured around him. Her mornings began with his name. Her nights ended with his voice lingering in her mind. She laughed more when he was near, cried more when he was distant. Every small gesture, every fleeting smile, every casual touch became a thread, binding her heart tighter and tighter. Friends noticed. Family noticed. But Ava didn't care. She was blinded by the intensity of what she felt. And Michael seemed to thrive on that intensity. It was addictive, electric, beautiful. At first, love showed its luminous side. They danced in the rain. They stayed awake all night talking about dreams, fears, the things they could never share with anyone else. For a brief moment, Ava believed she had found her soulmate. But love like this, the most dangerous kind, one carries shadows, hidden beneath the light. The first crack appeared subtly. A missed message, a cold tone, a lingering glance at someone else that she couldn't see but her intuition felt. Ava began to notice. Subtly at first, she made excuses for him. He's busy, he's tired, he doesn't mean it. But the cracks grew, and with each one, Ava's heart squeezed itself tighter. She began to question herself. Was she enough? Was she doing enough? Was she the reason he pulled away?
Dangerous love doesn't just capture your heart. It captures your mind. It rewires your thoughts. It makes obsession feel like devotion. Ava's friends tried to warn her. You're losing yourself. Be careful. But love had silenced their words. The first real blow came one rainy evening. Michael had promised to meet her at a restaurant downtown. Hours passed. Messages went unanswered. She arrived alone. And then she saw him, laughing, holding hands with another woman, his eyes not hers. Ava felt her world collapse, not with anger, but with a profound, crushing ache. Love, the love she had given so freely, had become a weapon against her. And in that moment, she realized, the most dangerous kind of love is not the love that arrives quietly. It is the love that convinces you it is safe while it slowly destroys you. Ava walked home through the rain that night, her heels sloshing in puddles, her umbrella barely keeping the cold off her skin. Every drop felt like an accusation. Every gust of wind whispered his name. Her mind replayed the scene in the restaurant again and again. The laugh, the hand, the smile not meant for her. And as the city lights blurred against the wet streets, she realized she could not stop thinking about him. She wanted to hate him. She wanted to scream, to throw her phone into the river, to erase every trace of him from her life. But hatred was too simple. Love, dangerous, consuming love, was more complicated. It had tangled her heart around his, wrapped her soul in knots she couldn't untie, and whispered lies so sweetly that she believed them. Days turned into nights and nights blurred into mornings. Ava tried to focus on work, on her friends, on her own passions. But Michael's absence was a constant ache. She began to check her phone compulsively. Every buzz, every vibration made her heart jump with hope. Even when it was only a message from a friend or a spam alert, she felt it could be him. Her friends noticed the change. They asked if she was okay. She nodded, smiled, reassured them. But inside, she was slipping. Dangerous love doesn't announce its attacks. It creeps in slowly. It whispers, You are nothing without me. It convinces you that your happiness depends on someone else. And Ava, caught in the orbit of his charm, could not see it yet. She found herself rearranging her life around him. She canceled plans, avoided friends, ignored calls, and made excuses for his absence. Every slight, every indifference, became a story she told herself. He's testing me. He's playing hard to get. He loves me in ways I cannot yet see. But the truth was far darker. The truth was that Michael thrived on the power imbalance, the dependency he had unknowingly or knowingly created. And Ava, caught in the orbit of his charm, could not see it yet. Then came the moments that broke her from the inside. The whispered lies, the subtle betrayals, the nights she spent crying alone, texting him, reading messages she knew she shouldn't, and convincing herself that every apology he offered, every fleeting smile was proof that she was enough. But she wasn't enough. Not for him. Not in the way her heart craved. One evening, after another argument disguised as a misunderstanding, Ava sat in her apartment and stared at the city skyline. The lights blinked like tiny stars, indifferent to her pain. She realized she hadn't eaten properly in days. She hadn't laughed for weeks. Her friends hadn't seen her smile. Her own reflection looked foreign, hollow, drained of life. And she wondered, when did love become a cage? Dangerous love isn't just about losing someone else. It's about losing yourself. Ava remembered the first day she met Michael, the spark that made her feel alive. But somewhere along the way, life had become a slow erosion, and she was sand slipping through his hands. For the first time, she tried to step back. She tried to remember her own worth, her own dreams. She tried to breathe without thinking of him. It didn't work. The pull was too strong. The memory of his laugh, the curve of his smile, the warmth of his hand. It haunted her. It beckoned her. It demanded her attention. Ava realized something terrifying. Love had become an addiction. And the most dangerous kind of love is one that convinces you that losing yourself is the only way to keep someone else. The days that followed were quiet, almost painfully so. Ava no longer checked her phone constantly. She no longer rearranged her life to match someone else's whims. The absence of chaos felt strange, empty, even. But in that emptiness, she discovered something extraordinary, herself. She began to walk again, to run, to breathe, not to escape Michael, not to prove something to anyone, but simply because she was alive, and alive meant freedom. She returned to the things she had abandoned, painting classes she had once loved, late-night journaling, weekend trips to museums, and quiet cafes where she could watch the world without feeling tethered to anyone else. With each small act, she reclaimed pieces of her heart she had forgotten existed. Ava realized that love had never truly been about Michael. It had been about learning to recognize her own strength. It had been about discovering that she could survive, thrive, and even flourish without being seen or approved by another person. The first time she laughed freely after months of suffocating obsession, it felt alien, a small, delicate sound that had the power to break years of pain. She laughed in cafes. She laughed on the subway. She laughed while painting with colors she hadn't touched in years. And with laughter came clarity. Dangerous love had left scars, yes. But scars, she realized, are not only reminders of pain. They are proof of survival, proof that a heart once broken can beat stronger than ever. She began reaching out to friends she had neglected, mending bridges that had been weakened by her obsession. She called her mother and told her she loved her, not because she needed approval, but because she could finally give love freely again. She even wrote letters to Michael, not to seek reconciliation, but to release the last of the dependency, the final chains that had bound her to him. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, a new love began to grow. Self-love. She nurtured it. She celebrated it. She protected it fiercely. She no longer measured herself against someone else's attention or affection. She defined her worth on her own terms, and in doing so, she became unstoppable. Time has a way of revealing the truth. It doesn't come in headlines or grand announcements. It arrives quietly, like the gentle unfolding of a flower, revealing its petals only to those who wait patiently and endure the storms. For Ava, time became both her teacher and her healer. The months and years following the most dangerous love of her life were filled with reflection, self-discovery, and slow, steady growth. She traveled. She explored the world. She painted landscapes that reflected the freedom she had fought to earn. Her art was no longer a distraction from love. It was a celebration of it. Life. resilience, and self-respect. She laughed freely. She cried freely. She loved freely, but always with boundaries, always with self-awareness. One day, standing atop a hill overlooking the city that had once felt so heavy and suffocating, Ava smiled as the sun dipped below the horizon. The wind caressed her face, carrying with it the scent of freedom, hope, and possibility. She had learned, survived, and transformed. The most dangerous kind of love had tried to define her, to limit her, to break her, but instead, it had awakened her. She had survived. She had grown. And she had learned to love. The right way. The lesson. The most dangerous kind of love does not come from another person. It comes from giving your power away. It comes from losing yourself in the illusion of someone else's worth. And the only way to survive it, the only way to thrive, is to reclaim your own life, your own heart, and your own love first. Ava's story is a testament. No fire, no storm. No toxic love can destroy a person who decides to rise. Survival is not the end. Growth, self-respect, and freedom are. She had faced the most dangerous love, and she had won.